Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. This is our webinar on accelerating API design with SwaggerHub for IntelliJ IDEA. My name is Calvin Fudge. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for SwaggerHub, and I'll be the moderator for today's webinar. Today, we're really excited to be introducing to another new edition of the SwaggerHub API development options. SwaggerHub for IntelliJ IDEA is a native plugin. It's a hugely popular Java-based development environment. Obviously, if you're in this webinar, you like IntelliJ IDEA, so you're already familiar with it. This kind of extends our IDE strategy from, when we first introduced, basically back in November, we rolled out SwaggerHub for VS Code. So we're continuing to roll out, additional flexible options. And Tim McGuire's here, along with Alex Bronson, who's our SmartBear solutions engineer and pretty much all-around IntelliJ enthusiast. So Tim's going to take us through kind of like an explanation of the IntelliJ IDEA plugin, and then Alex is going to do a demo of the product. If you've got questions, skew them toward the end, and we'll pick them all up, and But if there's something that you feel like you want to ask about the demo, Alex can always pick it back up and show something about the demo. Also, we're going to do a poll at the end, so make sure that you kind of take a second and answer some questions on the poll. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tim, and he can take you through the setup. Go for it, Tim.
All right, thanks, Calvin. As Calvin mentioned, my name is Tim McGuire. I'm Director of Product Management here at SmartBear. I'm responsible for leading the SwaggerHub platform, as well as the Swagger open source. So welcome, and I'm glad everybody could make it today, and we could show you some cool stuff that we've been working on with SwaggerHub and IntelliJ. So to kind of start off, our mission here at SmartBear, and specifically within our API product line, is to be the first choice for software development teams of all sizes, giving them the tools to immediately impact the delivery of tomorrow's applications. We know that they're all development teams of different shapes and sizes, working on large platforms to just simple little mobile apps. Not really simple, but just small. They all different sorts of projects that they're working on, and they have different needs between these projects. So we want to deliver a holistic platform for API services to accelerate engineering teams toward quality throughout the entire API lifecycle. How do we get there? We're looking at SwaggerHub. SwaggerHub. We look at SwaggerHub as one of the standard API design documentation platforms for APIs today. You get a faster, standardized API design. It's a single source of truth, centralized API collaboration. Your development lifecycle include everything from integrations with GitHub, GitLab, Jenkins, etc., all the way to your developer tools such as your IDE, such as IntelliJ, which brings us here today. So today, IDEs continue, as you all know. I'm assuming that everybody on this call is familiar with IntelliJ and IDEs, and that this is they're a favorite go-to tool for all developers. They're the preferred method of building out API designs. Even if you're using a tool, an API design tool such as SwaggerHub or the Swagger open source, those are web-based. You're still more comfortable in an IDE environment where you're actually developing your applications or developing code. And that's why we were looking at And that's kind of what brought us this market, like the IDE preference. It's really what brought us to looking into integrating SwaggerHub with different IDEs, starting off with VS Code and then going to IntelliJ IDEA now. So, another thing with SwaggerHub is, as I mentioned earlier, there's development teams come in all shapes and sizes, and they all have different tool sets in different ways that they want to work. And we know that even building out API designs, everybody has their custom way of building these out, from the individual API designer to teams. They all have their own workflow. And we look at SwaggerHub as being able to integrate with those custom workflows, meeting the API designer where they are today. So specifically with SwaggerHub, we started off with the Swagger code editor, the open source, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. Last summer we rolled out a CLI tool for SwaggerHub to enable your application your API design directly into your CI/CD process. We also have a visual editor which allows doc writers to be able to edit the API documentation as part of the API design piece of it without impacting the overall design of the API. And lastly, most recently, what we're really looking toward, and really to accelerate the API design process, is the integration into IDEs, starting with VS Code and now moving on to IntelliJ, which really expands our entire IDE strategy. It's kind of the next logical step for us. So as IntelliJ is, it's a native, SwaggerHub for IntelliJ is a native plugin for the IntelliJ IDEA, enabling API designers to view and edit your APIs and domains directly within the IDE. As these are saved, these are easily synced up directly with SwaggerHub, so the single source of truth continues to live on. And a lot of the functionality that we get directly, a lot of the functionality that you see in SwaggerHub is now available directly inside IntelliJ. So as you edit and design your API, you can view the documentation right in the side panel and see it update right away, see what it looks like, test the endpoints, get the auto mocking done in there. There's it should be a native, it should be a natural extension of what SwaggerHub can offer today. So why did we go with IntelliJ? Really, it's these things all make all make a lot of sense. I think we a lot of people on this call are already familiar with IntelliJ and you use it on a daily basis, but it is it's mostly for Java developers. Java's third most commonly used language in the world. IntelliJ IDEA is the choice of tool for them. So we have over 4 million users that can use it. And also the marketplace is over 6,000 plugins, and we're there. So the new plugin combines the power of the SwaggerHub platform with the IDE ecosystem to enhance your developer productivity. So not only are you able to tap directly into SwaggerHub, but you can start using other your other plugins directly with SwaggerHub, which to really enhance the overall developer experience. Now, getting into specifics, what we have here, what are the key features for this? So the key features are really everything that you would want from a basic API design workflow. Viewing your API definitions from your SwaggerHub organizations, editing them, saving them, creating new definitions, deleting definitions, versioning definitions. As I mentioned earlier, getting into auto mocking, being able, for quick API testing can be done right inside the IDE. Also validating your API against the Open API specification. Get instant feedback if if it's not up to standard with the Open API specification. And lastly, it's making an API public, private, also setting the default version of an API, publishing an API, unpublishing an API, all can be done from directly within the IntelliJ IDEA user interface. So on that note, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to turn it over to Alex, and he is going to give us a demo of the capabilities of here. So as I mentioned, feel free to use the Q&A for questions, and we'll have some time at the end for questions as well after the demo. So thank you, and let me stop sharing. And Alex, it's all yours.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tim. Hey there, folks. I'm Alex. I'm a solutions engineer with SmartBear, and today I'm just going to be showing you some of the functionality for the new SwaggerHub IntelliJ plugin. So first, I already have the plugin set up, so I'm going to click down here to open up, my little blade over here. To set up the plugin, you'll need your user API key, as well as you'll need to select an org that you want to import into SwaggerHub. So as you can see, the only org I've brought in is Alex's demo org. Now, real quick, I'll show you some cool functionality around this. If I open up one of my documents, we can actually get a preview of our Swagger UI right in IntelliJ. So we can actually get a live look at our document as we're editing it. Let's take a look at some of the functionality. So first thing I'm going to show you is the ability to edit a document and see it updated in SwaggerHub. So right now I have a prompt right here to add something there. If we look at my SwaggerHub document, I have the same prompt here, right? We're looking at the same document. So I'm going to add something quickly. To save our document back to SwaggerHub, we'll need to right click on the version and hit sync to SwaggerHub. So I'm going to do that quickly, wait for the message to come back saying that it was successful. Now we're back in SwaggerHub, and on a refresh, we can expect to see something. Fantastic. So the document that I edited in IntelliJ was successfully updated in SwaggerHub. Now let's talk about creating new APIs. To do that, you'll press the plus button up here. We're gonna give the new API a name. Select an OAS version. This is the only org I can select from because that's the only one I've set up with my integration. Choose a template, give it a visibility, and I'm going to show you guys how to set up the auto mock in a second. So I'm going to leave it disabled for now. And let's create it. Awesome. So there is my new API, version 1.0.0. And let's check to make sure, actually, let's give it a quick sync just to double check. Let's see if our new document was created. Aha, there it is. So I was able to successfully create a new document within IntelliJ for SwaggerHub. Now, let's say, maybe I'm done with version 1.0.0 and we're moving on to 1.0.1. I need to create a new version based off of this one. So I'll right click on the version, hit create new version. Just gonna iterate to 1.0.1. We're gonna leave it public. I'm actually gonna make this default as well. You'll see right now we have one version with a gold star. The gold means it's default. So I'm gonna make my new version the default one. And hopefully we'll see that this star becomes grayed out and the new version will have the gold star. And there it is. My 1.0.1 is the default and my old version is no longer default. All right, so I just showed you guys how to create a new API and a new version. Now let's talk about the auto mock. So right now, I do not have any servers or any servers within my server path. When I create the auto mock, you're gonna see a new value be added here. So let's do that quickly. I'm gonna right click on this version that I wanna add the auto mock to. I'm gonna hit add auto mock integration. And wow, look at that. So now, not only has a new server value been added here, but SwaggerHub is now also hosting a virtual server of this document. So let's test it out quickly, right? We have our Swagger UI right here. We should be able to query against that server. So I'm going to do the get inventory call. Try it out. Let's do query, do limit 10, execute. So the code I got back was a 200, and this is the object that we were returned from the endpoint. So we were able to successfully hit the automock, right? We actually enabled the automock from IntelliJ and then called the automock on SwaggerHub with IntelliJ then afterwards. So we saw that works properly. All right, now, maybe we were just testing out IntelliJ and we want to get rid of our API as well as our versions. This is something that can be easily achieved in IntelliJ. All you'll need to do, if you want to delete just a version, you'll right click on the version, press delete, and see you later. So it was successfully deleted on IntelliJ, but we still have a local copy here, right? 1.0.1. Let's give it a quick delete local copy. And now we can see we only have one version, and that is the default. So if I go back to my document here, my new API, IntelliJ, we should only have one version of 1.0.0. And we do, right? There are no other versions in the list here. Now, let's delete the whole API. Same thing. Instead of right-clicking on the version, we're gonna right-click on the API. Press delete definition, and we get the successfully deleted message again, and we're going to delete our local copy once more. And now that API is gone. So if I come here, look at my org, and try to find my new API IntelliJ, it is no longer here. It's been successfully deleted. All right. Now, so that's kind of the basic functionality of the plugin, is the ability to edit, create, delete. Now let's talk about validating your specs. So, as your designers are designing, they want to ensure that they're following OAS standards, right? They want to be able to validate this at design time, so the reviewer isn't going back and saying, hey, this isn't actually valid. Let's try to fix this. So all you'll need to do, or actually you don't even need to do anything. If all of a sudden you break OAS and you make it invalid, right? IO is not a valid tag for OAS, you will actually get an error reported. Where can I see that? But yeah, as we can see, we do have an error. There we go. Schema validation, missing property info, right? So this is one of your standard OAS errors, right? We do need that info path for it to be valid. So we're just gonna add it back, and boom, everything is right with the world again. Now, just two last nitpicky things. We also have within the plugin the ability to change the visibility of your API. So currently on my IntelliJ plugin demo, what do we have? Version 1.0.0 is private. So that means it's just available to me and the members of my org. Let us resolve, or let's make it public from here. So I'm on my version 1.0.0, and we'll make it public. See if we get our success message. There we go, success. Come back here, give it a quick refresh, and hopefully we should see that it is public. So we were successful in changing the visibility of our API within IntelliJ. And then lastly, I'm actually gonna, you also have the ability to publish your APIs from IntelliJ. I can tell you right now, actually, let me quickly switch a setting. I have it set up so I cannot publish APIs with errors in them, but I want to show this off real quick. Save. All right, so now I should be able to publish this even with the error. All right, so my version 1.0.0 of this document is unpublished currently. Now let us try publishing it from IntelliJ. Again, right click on the version, hit publish. Hopefully we'll get a success. Successed, it was published. So I'll come back here, give it a refresh. We should see the read only tag. Right here. Yep, so my document is read only, which means that we can assume that it was published. So that's kind of the functionality I have to talk to you folks about today. I just wanted to mention one thing that I found interesting. Tim mentioned when he was speaking about how with IntelliJ, you have the ability to kind of make it your workspace, right? With SwaggerHub, you know, we do provide you a bunch of great tooling, but maybe there are some plugins that are offered in IntelliJ or VS Code that would be very valuable to you. I found this one after a quick search. With the Open API Swagger Editor extension in IntelliJ, you have the ability to run security audits very simply, right? So this is additional functionality that you can enact on your SwaggerHub documents in IntelliJ. So I just thought this would be something cool to share. I'm definitely going to mess around with this plugin later today, see how useful it is. And that is all I have for you folks.
Yeah,
Hope you learned something.
I think you bring up a good point, Alex. It's Calvin. The ability to tap into that IDE ecosystem really makes SwaggerHub kind of an enhanced platform. And you think about it, you put SwaggerHub as your API design platform, and now you pull in spell checkers, linters, 42 crunch, anything that you feel like will add to and enhance your productivity, you can kind of plug in and within that IDE ecosystem. And it's really become kind of, I think there's even some great articles out there on the connected IDE and how it's kind of transforming the development experience. I want to share my screen real quick. Let me, so you guys know where to go to. So obviously you can go to the JetBrains marketplace and just type in SmartBear or type in SwaggerHub. If you type in Swagger, you may get an open source, tool created by some intrepid, single person. If you want the SwaggerHub, platform, just type in SmartBear or type in SwaggerHub and you'll get to this place right here. Or there's the link in this deck. Also, if you want a little bit more detail, there's a press release that we just sent out. If you happen to be ambidextrous and you can do 2 IDEs at the same time, then you may want to think about checking out the SwaggerHub for VS Code plugin. That's out there in the VS Code marketplace. And then just kind of stay tuned. We're going to be having additional things come out. I think Tim and I are collaborating on a blog that'll give you some more insights into working with the product. Alex and I worked on a video tutorial that you can kind of look at or share with other colleagues. Also want to remind everyone, there's no charge for these plugins. We're doing it just so that you can get more value out of working within SwaggerHub. You do need to have an active license or an active trial going on. But other than that, it's yours to kind of play around with and take advantage of. Patrick, I think we're going to do a poll now, if that's correct.
Yep.
And by the way, did I share my screen? Just want to make sure that that you weren't looking at my email the entire time. Sorry, guys. Cool. Alrighty. Tim's been busy answering some of your questions, but if you have some additional questions, we've got a few more minutes left. And Tim, let me just double check the questions to make sure if there's any that we need. So I think both you and just for the benefit of everyone who's not looking in the chat window, does IntelliJ sync the changes done in SwaggerHub? Tim, do you want to address that? I guess Alex did in
Yes.
the demo, but yes.
Yes, this was one thing we didn't show. So all changes can be pulled down, and we also have also to kind of answer the question just below it about the concurrent updates. Yeah, so we use the IntelliJ merging and diffing functionality. So yeah, so if a change is made in SwaggerHub, and as you go to change it and sync with SwaggerHub from IntelliJ, you'll see you'll be notified of the differences, and you can select which version you want from there. So I hope that answers the question. The next one is, do we plan to integrate code generation to the plugin? Yes, that is on our roadmap. I don't have a timeline for that. IntelliJ does have a really rich code generation functionality today, so that is available to you, as we were touching upon the ability to tap into the IntelliJ ecosystem, all the other functionality that we have there as
And that's
well.
a great, that's a great point, Tim, is that, we're not trying to duplicate things that are already out there that are working. We really are looking at giving you SwaggerHub and that platform to work from. And then if there's a linter or code completion tool that's out there that's you prefer or whatever, plug it in. We really have kind of built our heritage on being open, and the idea is that, hey, it is an ecosystem, so take advantage of all the other plugins. And if something new comes along, we certainly will let you know that it's coming out in the upcoming releases. Like, I think there was another question about autocomplete. Yeah, and you answered that one, that autocomplete's coming. What was the other one? Domains. You did not show how to make a domain versus making an API. Did you want to talk about that, Tim? Or
yeah,
Alex, I guess, answered it.
I can show that quickly, Tim.
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead, Alex, if you want to.
Yeah,
let me stop share real quick.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Sorry about that. I should have mentioned this, folks. All right. So, oh no, IntelliJ, geez. So, like I mentioned, right, we create new APIs with this plus button up here. When you come to this page, right now, let's make a new domain. OAS 3.0, same org. Right here is where you make the decision between creating an API or a domain. So we'll choose domain, version 1.0.0, leave it public. Okay. And after a few seconds, there we go. Here's my new domain document. Yeah, so it's almost exactly like creating your API. There's just one thing you need to press, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
I think that we've got someone also, providing us a little input on the doc. So we'll take that, and thanks everyone for the feedback. We do like to think of this as being like an open source scenario. So we provide in the marketplace a place for you to, to provide feedback on documentation for the plugin. Yeah, we will provide a recording of this afterwards, so you can share that around. And then, like I said, within the next week or so, we'll have a little 5-minute video that you can also share around that you'll be able to download and send.
Yep. And there's a question about the, did someone just answer it? Okay, thanks, Patrick. You just answered it with the IntelliJ. We'll make sure that the documentation is updated. The question about the other JetBrains IDEs, we haven't tested it in these other IDEs yet. You're more than welcome to try it and see if it works, and provide feedback, and we can take a look at those. We can take a look at the feedback in there. Just feel free to drop any feedback, questions, feature requests, bugs into GitHub, and we'll be continuing to monitor that and keep that up to date throughout the future.
Well, we want to thank everyone. Tim and Alex, thanks again for jumping in on this. And it's a great new plugin. Again, share it. would love to send you guys out some SwaggerHub stickers. So, we'll be doing some little promotions for a number of folks downloading the plugin in the next 24 hours or so. So, thanks again for giving us 30 minutes. We understand how busy you guys are and look forward to the next time we speak. Thanks, everyone.